CBJ, and this is my co-host.
Coach Rudy, and we are here live in Dallas, Texas.
You are listening to the Champs Podcast. We are back in effect like we always are. We got a few things we're going to discuss, and we got some things that we're just going to sit here and be quiet.
So we have Kyle Matthews out doing some leg work for us, getting us ready for the playoffs and whatnot. So he's not in studio today, but we do want to say to hell with you, Kyle, since we know that you're out there going to get ready to go watch that TCU and Georgia game in Los Angeles. Asshole.
All right.
So, I don't know. I know you don't like college football. Neither do I. Just messing with you. But as far as college football goes, TCU beat Michigan. Did you watch any of that game?
Is that the big blowout that they had?
Yeah, TCU, Texas Christian University, got into the 14 playoffs, and they beat Michigan. Your cousin, is it Danny Boy, who's a big Michigan fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to razz him on Facebook, but I was like, nah, I really don't care that much about it. I mean, I was rooting for TCU,
right.
Just Texas school, smaller school, whatever have you. But they're playing for the national championship this upcoming week against Georgia, and I think they got a legit chance.
Yeah?
Yeah. So the way they played Texas earlier this year,
Yeah.
slugfest, toe-to-toe, like UT's legit big boy football, right?
Right.
Even if they're not great, they're legit big boy football. And TCU, a smaller school, is oftentimes just thought of as, yeah, technically you're big boy football, but we all know you're not.
Right.
The fact that they beat UT earlier this season and they keep beating all these teams that are ranked, I think they're legit, man. I think they have a good chance to beat Georgia. You saw that Georgia had trouble with Ohio State, and quite frankly, Michigan, dog walked Ohio State a few weeks ago.
Right.
So if you beat Michigan, who dog walked Ohio State,
Yeah.
then I don't see why
you can't pull it off.
you can't. Yeah. Look, we'll see what happens.
Definitely. It's football, so anybody's game, honestly. But shout outs to them. Good for them for making it as far as they have. It's not a easy thing to do.
Oh no, definitely not.
Also, I want to take a moment real quick. I want to do a shout out to Katie Temperamental. She had her baby over right after Christmas on the 26th.
So that was her baby I saw in the picture.
Yeah. So just want to give her a shout out. I don't think she listens to us, but if she does, shout outs to you. Congratulations on having the baby. It's all healthy and everything.
Katie, you know you love us.
She does. She just doesn't have time for us no more.
Pinche Katie.
But that being said, let's go ahead and keep
Congratulations, Katie. So now there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, the big thing that has been flooding all types of sports talk the last couple of days has been that Cincy Buffalo game. But before we get into that, because I think this is going to take a lot of our show. So before we get into that, let's cover a few things that don't revolve around that serious of a topic. I think one of the things that we should talk about is I don't know if you heard Donovan Mitchell that same night for the Cleveland Cavaliers put up 71 points.
Yeah.
So you did hear about that? He put 71 points.
No, sorry, I was checking the mic.
You.
Without Kyle here to do everything right, he messed with stuff, so I was trying to make sure it was right. So making sure I'm being picked up.
So he just one-upped Luka's 60 points. Now Luka had a triple-double
right?
With 21 rebounds. But still, 71 points, man.
Yeah, that's a Damn.
Look, here's the reality of it. Mitchell's a great scorer.
Right.
Last year, though, once the Mavericks eliminated him and Utah from the playoffs,
Yeah.
he actually ended up in a better situation because Cleveland was missing that. You know, they were missing a great scorer to help their team. They're a very solid team.
Right.
He helps put them over the edge, like makes them legit contenders.
Okay.
The fact that he does that right now, there's some major scoring going on by individuals. You got Luka putting up 60 points, 50 points, 50 points.
Right. I know you were saying how you were impressed by Luka just kind of turning it on all of a sudden.
Yeah. You got Jason Tatum for Boston killing it. You got Giannis killing it.
Right.
Right now, you have a bunch of young guys who are really showing their legitimacy on the offensive end, and some of these guys are doing it on both ends. So it's fun to watch pro basketball right now.
Right.
If you're a fan, and I know you're not a huge fan of it.
Nah, I haven't. I mean, if I get a chance to go to a game, I'm more into it then. Otherwise, it's just kind of not something I turn on too often.
Yeah, but you know, I just thought that it should have been noted.
Yeah.
Another thing, I mean, Joel Embiid, before someone loses their mind, Joel Embiid's killing it. I tweeted earlier today that Giannis is the best player in the NBA because I really do believe it because he plays both offense and defense and he's killing it at both ends.
Okay.
But that Luka is the MVP, and it's for this simple reason. You take him off of the Mavericks,
Yeah.
they're probably the worst team in basketball.
Ooh. Okay.
So that in and of itself means
Right.
he's the most valuable to his team. And so many of the other guys, yeah, maybe their teams aren't winning as much, but I don't think that they instantly fall to the worst team.
Right.
And the Mavericks, Christian Wood's a good player. They got some solid players now.
Yeah.
But realistically, I don't know that they're beating anybody without Luka.
Okay.
Just that. Now to a little bit something more serious. Dana White.
Did you see the video?
I did. Now, which video did you watch?
It was from afar where you could see like he got slapped and then he slapped back.
Okay, so there was another video going around where it shows him grabbing his wife's wrist, and that's what led to her slapping him.
Okay.
Like he grabbed it like tight, like you ain't going nowhere, bitch, type thing.
Okay.
And that's what made her turn around and slap him.
Okay.
Initially, I just saw the
far away slap.
Yeah, where she slaps him.
Yeah.
And then he continuously smacks her, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw just a few seconds earlier where he's grabbing the hell out of her wrist.
Right.
And that's what prompts her to smack the hell out of him.
Right.
Now, I say that because what I kept seeing a lot of people comment, well, yeah, but she shouldn't have been putting her hands on him.
Yeah.
And what I also saw was that it kept being referred to as slapping.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a slap.
Yeah.
But when I think about it,
he grabbed her aggressively before the slap.
No, just in general, if it would have been a black person, celebrity, athlete, the way it would have been said is abuse, beating.
Definitely.
Some of those harsher words.
Yeah.
Than what it is with Dana, who's rich and white.
Right.
And has a lot of friends in the media. I mean, even Stephen A. and Molly came out say, "Oh yeah, he's been a great friend of mine, and he says that this never happened before, and his wife said that it's never happened before, so it must not have." Which to me, if you're smacking her in public, you've smacked her in private. They've been together for 30 years. The way they reacted in that scene is not something
I will say this because you're probably not wrong. That's I can say there's a first for everything, but based off of if there's a video of him grabbing her, and then she slaps him, and then he slaps her back, is what we've all seen as the slap and the slap back.
But it wasn't just one slap.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like typically this is if you know people in life or know people that are in abusive relationships, typically this is how it goes. One person starts out with the slap, next person starts out with the grabbing them and shaking the shit out of them, and then next thing you know, they're body slamming somebody or punching their legs or whatever the fuck the case is. It happens. It definitely happens. Honestly, if you ask me, I'm not surprised by an older white man slapping his wife. that to me is not surprising any more than hearing an old white man dropping the N-bomb. Like, I believe in privacy. How they say and how they act is how they say and how they act. And when it comes to light, that's not surprising to me. I've known a lot of people in my lifetime that behind closed doors, behind the views and aspects of like what happens at home is at home. When we get out in public, we don't let that shit come out.
Look, I don't know these people. I don't know them personally.
Same.
I will say it's been my experience through knowing people and through knowing people who deal with domestic violence.
Yep.
That there's a good likelihood that this was not the first time this happened.
Right.
Because you're not with someone for 30 years. And look, honestly, if she slaps him and he one time slaps her back,
yeah,
I can say, okay, reflex.
Yeah.
But you don't smack her back and then continue to smack her again and again.
Yeah, at first that's the way I seen it.
And then tell the world, it was because we were drunk and it's never happened before. And I'm sorry that it happened. And then she comes out, yeah, me too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my initial, when I first seen it, I was like, this is what everyone's mad about. And then I seen the second slap and the third slap. And I was like, oh, he's just slapping the shit out of her in public.
Yeah.
Which are two different things, because I do understand reflex of like, oh, shit, you swung on me and maybe I did grab your hand a little bit too hard and then you went to slap me and then I slapped you back out of reflex because, again, my reflex was to catch the first one.
And in no way is this Johnny saying that he condones it or that he has done the same.
No, I just understand it.
Exactly.
Definitely understand it. I understand reflex, not understanding the idea of putting your hands on somebody. Because if you haven't heard me before, I am a firm believer is everyone should keep their hands to themselves whenever it comes to being violent towards each other. I don't believe in the guy's stronger or the woman stronger or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, if you kept your hands to yourself, probably not going to get hit.
Now, I bring this up because reality is there should be some repercussions.
Yeah.
All of these news stations or TV stations who purport to care about women, who purport to care about domestic violence, and we'll take away our funds for the NFL when a black man hits somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, why aren't you coming out and saying, hey, unless you get rid of Dana, we're not going to
what's funny is
air.
Dana White's honestly not even the good guy that he tries to portray himself as to be. And I say that because I've heard him say, like, recently, he was like, Mike told me he wasn't getting paid for this little series that they did, and we had a partnership, but I closed it on him because Mike's my friend, and I don't want him to be mad at us. As soon as he said that he wasn't getting paid from Hulu, I didn't want to air the trailer at our events and da-da-da-da. And that's cute for cameras, and maybe you don't want to piss Mike off because Mike does come to your events and he's a big draw for you. But if we're being honest, the UFC is highly underpaid compared to all other sports, especially contact sports. So, like, he's not this nice guy that really
and especially because those they don't have a ton of athletes there.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the NFL, every team has 53 players minimum, plus the practice squad guys and you know a whole slew of other people,
trainers and yeah.
You have
when you look at
30, 40 fighters under your belt.
When you're talking about boxing, you have the top 20 contenders, but that's not including the 75 other people that are fighting to get to the fucking top 20. So and they get paid a lot more. Even whenever you're on the undercard, you're getting paid a few $1 million, whereas so you have to be the fucking main event to get paid $5-10 million.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about Dana White anyways. Like, he's just not the good guy, everybody's, chum that he tries to portray himself as anyways. And, I have no alliance to him. I have no, reason to say that, maybe he is the nicest guy ever. So long as you're not a 120-pound woman that can't defend herself or whatever. But, because I've heard him talk kind of crazy to people, and I know he's got a gambling problem and whatever. Like, he's 100%. Like, I just seen this video where he takes pride in getting kicked out of casinos for his gambling that he does. So, I don't know. Hopefully, there's some sort of actions to come for him for this, because you're right. I don't know how many football players we've seen slap their significant other, punch their significant other, and everyone had all up in arms. They need to be suspended or whatever. I don't know what you could do in the capacity of this, aside from maybe, honestly, the state. There's actual video footage of this. It's not like, we heard or we seen her after the fact. We actually have video footage of it. Shit, Floyd even did, 6 months in prison for just allegedly. I don't even think they actually had footage of him beating on his.
See, like I said, I keep coming back to the idea that it wasn't even the initial slap back that he did.
Yeah,
it was that second and third.
Yeah, especially like, again, you get the angle where he grabs her, so he's already manhandling her in the first place.
Yeah.
So even if she does swing on him after the point, she's just trying to get away.
And that's exactly what she was doing.
And if there's
she was trying to walk away from him when he grabbed her, and she smacked him. Like, her initial smack, once you see that he had grabbed her wrist, it really looks like it was much more reflex than attack.
Right.
And that's, he has his friends backing him up. The Stephen A., the Mollies that are saying she should have kept her hands to herself. And look, I get it. Yeah. Like you said, everyone should. But
I'm trying to get away so I don't put my hands on you, or so I can just be away from you. Like,
So I just thought we had to touch on that. We talk about some UFC, some mixed martial arts. So I thought it was only right that we give this a couple minutes.
It's only right we speak on something that it's in the sports realm. Something that we see, again, from many different athletes. From Gervonta Davis. I don't know, did you see this, that he got arrested?
I heard that, but I didn't even see what happened.
So he got arrested for allegedly hitting his girlfriend, longtime girlfriend. It's not the first time it's been brought up to him or happened to him. So when I heard it, I was like, no big deal. But as soon as he comes out, he shows pictures of his toothbrush with fecal matter from the baby's diaper. And he was like, I had a fit. I'm yelling at her for doing this. I never hit her. Now, since then, she says he never hit her. But initially, because there was an argument, a fight going on about how she was being gross and disgusting because they were fighting, that's what happened. It was a domestic argument that got him arrested. They accused him of putting his hands on her. Tank's not a big guy, but I can tell you that if he hit his girlfriend, you're going to know she fucking got hit. Like,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and not saying it's right, but I tell you what, he used to put fecal matter on my toothbrush the way it looked. I might have lost my shit too.
Yeah, who was it? Chris Rock. I wouldn't have done it, but I understand.
Yeah, like the pictures that I seen on Baller Alert, it was like toothpaste of poop on the toothpaste. Like it was gross, like dug in there. It was fucking nasty.
That ain't right.
But yeah, he was screenshot. He's like, I'm clearing my name today. I'm not gonna let them leave this shit on here. And he was just going on and on about how she was doing all kinds of out of pocket shit and whatever. And like, yeah, even if you did, I'm not gonna necessarily say that.
Yeah, that ain't right.
But anyways, yeah. So if we're gonna talk about people when they're doing great, we're gonna talk about people whenever they have their downfalls, and that's all there is to that.
All right, so that was the NBA. There
Yeah.
was mixed martial arts.
Boxing.
Now let's go to Dallas Cowboys released wide receiver James Washington today.
He's such an important part. I don't know how they're gonna move on from
So
this
it's
guy.
funny how much they were saying, but wait till James Washington comes. Just wait till he comes.
Yeah, they were saying how like as soon as he checks in this season, he's gonna be on fire. He's got the speed and everything that they need.
Yeah. See, I was never as sold on that. Look, once you let go of Amari Cooper for a bag of potato chips,
Yeah.
I thought that was just ignorant to presume that James Washington was going to do anything, because James Washington has never been a huge contributor
Right.
to any NFL team. I'm not saying he's not an NFL quality receiver. I'm saying
Yeah.
he's never been a huge contributor, and Amari Cooper has always been a huge contributor. So for me to say, oh wait, this is the fix,
Yeah.
I always thought that was an ignorant call. Now when you tell me Ty
Yeah.
is playing, Ty has been a huge contributor.
Yeah.
Yeah, is he a little bit older? Yes, but I mean, he's proven the last couple weeks he still got game.
Yeah. I mean, for him to have been cut whenever he was arguably the best receiver on the team at the time, it was shocking. I was surprised in that, and to see him come back and bounce back, my speculation was he hasn't played all season. I think it's Shannon or one of those former players. They say, you know how you get ready for football? You got to fucking play some football. Like there's no football shape until you're actually playing the game. Like you can do all the running and everything else, but until you're actually in the game, you're not actually in football shape, because just the way the game goes.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yes and no. Because it depends on the position, depends on the player, depends on the skill. All of those things matter.
Yeah.
Because there's some players, I don't care what level you are at, there's some players that are better than other players.
Yeah.
There's some players who can literally roll out of bed, play these 8 snaps, 12 snaps, whatever,
100%.
and get at it.
Yeah.
And there's most players who can't.
Right. And I think that's what he was speaking to. Most players don't have that just innate of, I'm just naturally great at this. Even if I haven't played for 5 years, I'm still going to be good for at least 2 good plays or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you're going off majority rule. You're not necessarily saying this. It's, there's an exception to every rule, right?
Exactly.
And so, yeah, that was kind of what we were looking at whenever you were talking about T.Y. coming in. And I'm the first one to tell you, whenever we're talking T.Y., whenever we're talking OBJ or any one of these other former top 10 elite athletes that were in the league, when you put them on a team this late in the season and they haven't done anything all season long, what do you have them there for? Are you trying to open up somebody else? If that's all they do for one play, a big play, they've served their purpose. If you are just going off the fact that they once upon a time were the person to be worried about, and then if they're not and you need to be more concerned about them, and again, they're actually playing to the point in which you need them, then again, it's a win-win for you.
Exactly. Now we'll circle back around to the Cowboys. Let's talk about this Cincy Buffalo game.
Yeah. Anybody? You know what's funny is I didn't even know. I was expecting, because I have some players on that on my fantasy team on there on Cincy.
Yeah.
So I was expecting some updates throughout the night to see, oh, so and so did this, so and so did that. But I noticed that like my phone didn't go off at the game. I was like, is there a game going on? And then I seen that it was a postponed game. I'm like, wait, what happened? Like, I never seen them postpone it. I thought it was due to weather or something like that. I didn't know that. What's the guy's name? Is it Durham? Is it Josh Durham? Is that his name?
No. It's DeMar Hamlin.
That's right, Damar Hamlin.
Second year
Okay.
player, 24 years old,
Yeah.
for Buffalo Bills. So, did you watch the play? Did you see the play?
I honestly I didn't catch any of it. All I just knew.
No. But on replays,
No, I didn't catch anything. All I seen was that they postponed the game, and all I've seen is like backlash of people that were just kind of moving on from it.
So he goes to make a tackle, and subsequently in making the tackle, he gets hit in the chest. Right?
Okay.
It's a football play. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Tackle's made. He pops right up. He's standing up for like a second, then he falls straight back. He went into cardiac arrest.
Okay.
The hit to the chest, with his momentum,
Threw off his heart rate.
everything. Yeah. From what they say, it was like if at the perfect time in between your heartbeat
Yeah.
you get hit, that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Look, throughout football season,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about pro football, I'm talking about football season.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a handful of high school deaths, little league deaths,
Yeah.
college. You'll have one or two here and there,
Yeah.
and whether it's a death at the practice field during the game,
Yeah.
or after practice or after the game,
Yeah.
this happens every year.
Yeah.
And then we find out, oh, this guy had a heart condition,
Right.
or it was this fluky thing.
Right.
And you have a handful of these. I can't say that this shocked me as much as other people say.
Right.
And let me go back. The first year I ever coached youth football, right? We have practice late in the season,
Yeah.
and my team is done. I leave,
Right.
go home. I probably get a call, maybe an hour, 2 hours later,
Uh-huh.
about 10 to 15 minutes after I left. One of the other coaches dies on the field. Well, actually, he died in the ambulance.
Okay.
He had a heart attack on the field.
Okay.
This guy was Coach Montgomery, former military cat, great shape. I
Yeah.
mean, he was in great physical shape.
Yeah.
He always ran a couple laps after practice, and that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then he ends up
Fell
having
over.
a heart attack.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of kids on the field. It was one of those things that afterwards, kind of those Disney movies where kids saw this and it rallied them.
Yeah.
Because the group of kids that he was coaching, they were so-so.
Right.
You know, they won some, lost some. There was 3 games left in the season.
Okay.
They were supposed to play that Saturday, and the kids couldn't. They couldn't.
Yeah.
That game got postponed a few days. They won their last couple games, got to the playoffs,
Okay.
and they decided themselves we're playing for coach.
Right.
They started bullying these other teams. Like, they were beating the snot out of these teams. They go win a playoff game here in Dallas.
Yeah.
Go to Denver.
Okay.
And they crush a team out there. So much to the point that the team that they were supposed to face the next week in San Antonio calls them on the phone as they're driving back to Dallas. And he says, hey, and this is what I'm told, right? I wasn't on that bus. Our boys, they can't handle y'all. We forfeit.
Oh, wow.
Because for that other team, that group of boys injured like 4 kids on that team. Not by cheap moves or nothing.
Yeah,
just because they were playing balls out.
Yeah.
And they were just crushing these other kids.
Yeah.
So these kids end up going to Disney to play in the championship.
Right.
Now, by the time they got to Disney, it had been several weeks now since this death.
Yeah.
And they ended up the scene got too big for them.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't win the title.
Yeah.
But their path to it, to just get there, behind their coach who they saw die. So when people see this, not everyone sees these types of things, right?
Definitely.
But there are a lot of people that do. It's just not on national TV.
So,
and luckily, this young man is not dead right now.
Yeah.
Reports are that Hamlin is starting to breathe a little bit on his own, and prayers to him and his family, and hopefully he makes a full recovery as far as for life, if not football.
Yeah.
But that said, you know, we like to pretend that these things are rare, and they are when you see how many games are played and
how many
few times this happens. But this shit happens.
Yeah. You know, to that, my wife was saying to me, you know, how's he doing? What happened? Whatever. And she was like, well, she's like, I hope that they, you know, one day that this game is going to be outlawed. That it's not going to be played because all these people that die every year. I was like, you know, the sad truth to that is it's very possible. Maybe not in my lifetime. Maybe shortly before I die if I have a long life. And that's really unfortunate because I love the sport. I genuinely love watching it. I enjoy many aspects of the sport. But exactly what you just said is I was telling her, I don't know about anybody else, and I mean I can only speak from what I know. But when you put your pads and your helmet on for the very first time, the coaches let you know it is a violent sport. People die playing the sport. So it's a dangerous sport. I played the sport. You've played it briefly. We both played it briefly, whatever, different times in our life or whatever. But whether it's professional, whether you're high school, middle school, pee-wee, whatever the case is, it's explained to you that if you don't play it right, you can be hurt. Even playing it right, you can be hurt.
Yeah.
And I'll even say it doesn't make, like, sports are that way. Hockey's this way. Boxing's this way. MMA is this way. Like, if you are in a contact sport, I don't know that there's a sport that isn't dangerous whenever you're playing it.
I know of at least 3 concussions I got from playing it. From playing the sport. That's I know of.
Yeah.
None of those concussions ever led to me missing the next game or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, back then it was different.
Yeah.
But back when we were playing, it was a different time. I'm 40 now, and how things were treated just weren't the same as how they're treated now.
That's the other thing, too. The evolution of football, trying to make it like, you know what? we do want to make this friendly. We do want to make people last longer, have longer careers, have more fun at it, things of that nature. And to some degrees, we make a joke of it. Like, man, you remember back in the day when you could actually tear somebody's head off? You just sent me a video of was it Ray Lewis? And he was waylaying people.
He was saying, I could have gotten the pick right there, but I didn't want the pick, and he laid somebody out.
Yeah. Whereas today, unsportsmanlike conduct all day.
Yeah, suspension looming.
Yeah. Those things, as I said, one of my favorite defensive players was Warren Sapp. The way he would get through and get to the quarterback and manhandle them was what I loved about him as a defensive player. But today's it doesn't exist. He couldn't. He says it. I couldn't play in today's NFL because of the rules. I guess I would have adapted if I had got in it today. But if they would have changed it on me while I was in there, I'd have been out within a year anyways because of the change of the rules.
A lifetime ago, you and I were discussing mixed martial arts, and this was still when it was relatively young.
Yeah.
And I was telling you,
I already know where you're going.
I couldn't do this shit. I was like, there's too many rules. If I'm fighting, I'm fighting.
Yeah.
You're telling me I can't do this?
This is when Dana White came in, because Dana White wasn't there originally. When Dana White came over, they changed the rules to make it more sports friendly. But originally, if you go back, anyone that does not know, go back to UFC, I think 1 through 5, I think were the years that they were not sports. They were not a sanctioned sport.
You couldn't eye gouge and you couldn't kick in the nuts, maybe. Something to that effect.
Nuts shots were good too.
Couldn't eye gouge and couldn't bite.
I think those were something like that.
There was only 2 rules.
Yeah, it was like 3. I think in the third rule was there are no rules. This was kind of the thing was like, because back then they didn't even have weight classes. It was like
and that was what was beautiful about it.
They had guys that were about the size of our dad, about 5'5" and 140 pounds, going against somebody 400 pounds and fucking kicking ass.
Look, because the reality is, and I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, in the real world, a fight happens.
Yeah.
And people are of different weights, different sizes, different heights. And that's the reality of who's a better fighter. You find out.
Yeah. That's the thing one thing I've always hated is people always think, oh, he's so much bigger, you'd get your ass kicked, or so-and-so, whatever. And I don't think there's a better analogy for a fight than other than, it's not the size of the dog, it's about the fight in the dog.
Yeah.
Because you will see someone like your dad, again, 5'3", 140 pounds on a...
At most in his life.
Yeah. And take on 5-6 people and come out with maybe a black eye. Maybe.
Yeah. Poet getting into fights at 5'4", against people 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Just knocking them out. I
was talking to my brother when I was in St. Louis, and we were talking about your dad and about how back in his heyday, we were talking about him, we were talking about Grandpa, and I'm going to say this story real quick, but he was telling me a story. Some kid up the street beat him up. He comes home crying. Grandpa says, "Why you cry?" He said, "So-and-so beat me up." And he says he goes, grabs his baseball bat, takes him up the street. It was like, and the lady, the guy's grandma was, "Miss Prowse, I'm so sorry. So-and-so shouldn't have done that. He's going to apologize. He said, but Grandpa took his bat, said to send him out. He was like, so Grandpa he was like, my brother's words was, Grandpa was my dude. He held me down. That day, he said, "Why you cry?" He grabbed his baseball bat, took me up to the street, ready to fight those kids for jumping me. But all that to being said, in the real world, there's not the rules. There's not a point. So if you hit somebody first, the fight's over. You talked about when you got jumped, the guy that you knew that knew karate, and he just kind of stood there and he got frozen. Yeah, some people, they're great whenever, that was one thing that that my brother would say when he get mad when people would be like, man, you see how good he is in this tournament? Like, I bet he kicks a lot of ass outside of here. It's like, no, don't get it twisted. He beat me by a point out here. We go out to that parking lot, it's a whole nother game. I'm going to fuck him up.
Yeah. And that's, we've talked about that numerous times. When you're talking about, who got hit first, like that determines a winner. That don't determine shit.
Right.
Now, it does in point fighting.
Yeah.
And there's rules to that style, technique, or whatever. But if I'm a counter puncher, and I take your first punch, say, "Oh, that was nice,
that was cute,"
then that ain't shit.
Yeah,
like part of real fighting is knowing how to take a hit, and countering it or moving through despite getting hit.
Yeah, when I was taking karate, that was the thing that I was like, how come every technique we learn involves me getting my ass kicked before this point? Like, I don't like training from the point, okay, you're in a headlock, and this is where you're going to get out of a headlock. Oh, they got you from behind, and they got your arms pinned down. This is how you're on the ground. They're sitting on your chest. How are you, like, every technique starts out in these weird-ass situations. Like, how did we get here? Because this would never happen in real life for me.
You're like, who in the hell is going to be on?
Right. Exactly what I was thinking. Like, why did I let them do this? And their answer to me was, because you're a martial artist, you don't actually start the fight. You just finish the fight. But again, this could be true.
A sucker punch it before it got to this point.
A sucker punch, a push, that's all I need. I don't need you to be on top of me while I'm on the ground.
I had a situation years and years and years ago, and a potential fight or whatever, and the guy says, but it's raining. What happens if I slip? I said, I'm going to stomp the shit out of you because this is a fight. and to me, it was like, that was probably the stupidest question you could have. What do you think's going to happen?
What's funny is there's a comedian, I don't know if I sent you the video of it, but the guy says, I want you to know karate's a lie. It's stupid. It only works whenever other people know karate too. He says, because I went to go throw a kick and then he did something completely different. Like, wait a minute, that's not how it's supposed to go. When I do this, you're supposed to do this. You're not supposed to. And I just laugh because I could see that as like someone that doesn't know. Like,
oh yeah, when my kids were doing karate, when they were doing taekwondo and they were in there sparring, it threw everybody off. Because my kids weren't doing just the moves that were taught in their studio, because I was filling in gaps. Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's sweet and all, that's nice, but what are you gonna do when this happens? Yeah, and so I was filling in the gaps. So when they went in there to spar, they were lifting their knee up, blocking these kicks, and hurting people just by
being prepared,
being ready for it.
Yeah. My nephew was talking to me at Christmas. He was talking about how when I competed, how the guy, and when I competed, the guy was like, Johnny did not do none of this stuff. But he wound up winning. And he was like, poor guy was left with a concussion. I said, see, you're looking at it from the point of view that the fight rules were the fight rules. And I said, I won. I said, you're neglecting the whole point of, I was down. He was up 4 points. He needed 1 point to beat me. I came back and won 5 points by doing a move that he did not expect me to do. Not only did I do it one time, but I continued to do it 4 other times to get the win. It's not my fault. I was losing. I was like, I had to change up what was, going on. I was like, so I don't care. I'm still the champion. Fuck that guy. And all it was just like, he would get distracted by one hand. I'd fake him out. I would do a rolling smack. So, like, the one hand was coming. He would go for that one, and then the other one would sneak up and slap him in the head. And so that's how I was able to do it. He was throwing kicks. So since I knew he was throwing the kick, I was able to push the kick down and then do a back fist to the head. Not my fault. I just knew what he was doing. Once I realized how he was doing, I was like, yeah, I got kicked twice in the process. But once I realized how he was going to do it, I avoided it.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I don't know what sent us down that rabbit hole, but that was fun.
All right, so
Danger Sports, that's what it was.
yeah, you know,
The truth of the matter is, when we're talking
this whole thing with Cincy and Buffalo, I know the talk has pivoted today to whether they're going to postpone the game, whether they should postpone it, because obviously they stopped the game,
right?
But whether they're going to resume it or start it over or whatever have you, that's the second part to it.
Yeah.
I heard a couple of the talking heads suggesting, okay, well, after this week, if they decide to postpone the playoffs or pushing them off another week, having them play their game, and then just not having the bye week between the conference championship and the Super Bowl. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't even play this game.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to.
So that was what I was wondering about it. Like, they're either one of these people in contingency to be the number one seed.
Yes, both.
Both are in contingency.
So, okay, as it stands right now,
okay,
because it's percentage-wise, right? Kansas City has a higher win percentage than both of these teams.
Okay.
They have like a 813, and then I think Buffalo has a 800. If Buffalo were to win, if let's say this game was played, right, and Buffalo won, Buffalo would have the number one seed.
Okay.
Because of a tiebreaker that they have over Kansas City, because they beat Kansas City earlier this year.
Okay.
Now, if Cincy was to win, and them, Buffalo, and Kansas City ended up with a tie, then Cincy would have the first round bye.
Okay.
But if they don't play, then really all you're doing is looking at the win percentage.
Okay.
If Kansas City loses this week, still one of those two teams can
move up.
But otherwise, Kansas City is going to have home field throughout.
Okay.
I look at it. Look, if I'm Kansas City, Buffalo.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
If I win, great, get the bye. But there's no guarantee I'm going to win because Cincy's a really good team.
Yeah.
Same thing for Cincy.
Yeah.
If I were them, I would say, look, just waive this game. We don't have to call it a tie. We just don't play it. We have one fewer game played than everybody else.
Right.
No harm, no foul. Start the playoffs the next week.
Right.
Both teams are already winning their division, so it's not going to change anything in that side of it.
The only difference is Kansas City gets it as long as they win.
Yeah. But even still, there's no guarantee that they get it, you know?
Yeah.
Because of all that, if I'm the NFL, I tell them, look, y'all have this option. If y'all want to play it, we can. Or just say, fuck it, pass, and then we finish the season off this week.
If I'm a coach and I am a player, let's just skip it. And I skip it, and don't get me wrong, it's not even for any of the reasons that you're saying. Going to the playoffs anyways, right? Either team going to the playoffs. So it doesn't make a difference. And when I look at it, it's rest.
That's exactly my point.
I'm gonna go ahead.
It serves as an essential bye week that we had.
Yeah.
Was it a full bye week in that we got a couple more days off? No.
Right.
But we didn't really play the game.
Right.
Played a few minutes of it, and that was that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's past. Let's move forward.
Right.
You don't have to play it. I don't think that they should.
Right.
But that's the scenario.
All right, let's move on. What else we got?
Okay, so Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys, when we look at Christmas Eve morning, before they played their game against Philly, right? Okay.
This is what Dallas needed. So that way they could clinch
Yeah.
home field throughout, right?
Yep. Yep.
They needed to win 3 games in a row, including that game against Philly.
Yep.
They needed Philly to lose 3 games,
Okay.
which included that game against Dallas. They needed the Vikings to lose a game, and they needed the 49ers to lose a game. That's the key to get home field throughout.
Okay.
If the Vikings don't lose and the Niners don't lose, you still needed Philly to lose 3 and Dallas to win 3 so that Dallas wins the division.
Yeah.
Okay? So, since that point, Dallas won 2 games. Philly's lost 2 games. Vikings have lost 1 game. The 49ers damn near lost the game. Their game versus Las Vegas went to overtime, and they won by field goal.
Yeah.
So out of the 8 things that were needed, 5 of them have happened.
Okay.
Dallas won twice, Eagles lost twice, and the Vikings lost once. So, going into this final week of the season, if Dallas wins, and Dallas controls that, they're playing against Washington.
Yeah.
The Eagles lose, and they're playing against the Giants, division rival, even if they're not playing all their players.
Okay.
And the 49ers lose, and the 49ers aren't really playing the best of teams. I think it's the Cardinals, but once again, it's a divisional rival. If these 3 things happen, Dallas gets home field throughout. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys head football coach,
Yeah.
I am playing to win.
Yeah.
But come fourth quarter, Cooper Rush is going in there.
Yeah.
I'm putting the backups in the fourth quarter, maybe the third quarter if I'm up.
Mid third quarter, definitely.
But I'm starting my dogs because I want them to be in sync,
The reason why I even wanted this brought up is because Jerry said that he wanted to play them because he wants to get the bye if he can possibly get it. Which I get it. I understand everyone likes the bye. But me personally, I've always been one. I feel like the Cowboys play better when they got to go through it. I don't.
What proof do you have in that?
What proof do I have in that?
Yeah.
In recent times, whenever they had the bye, they didn't play as well. I guess they haven't made it very far in the playoffs since.
Either way,
yeah.
I mean, the furthest that they've gone in 25 years is the second round, whether they got the bye or not.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I feel like when they play the game and then they get a second game, I feel like they go further.
well, no, because the further that they go is into the second round.
Well, again, I see 2 more games if whenever they're going through is waiting for them to play. But you're right on that sense. Nonetheless, this is the time of the season. If you're still playing fantasy, it's hard because people are being sat. And sometimes hurts turn into being actual injuries whenever they're like, you know what, we're gonna sit him, and then they sit him and then realize like, you know what, he was playing hurt this whole time. That hurt was actually an injury. He probably shouldn't have been playing the last 3 weeks that we were having him play, and even though we sat him for 2 weeks, now he can't play because now he's feels everything versus playing through all that. So it's definitely a tricky thing. As we were saying off the air, we are definitely more conservative in the sense at this point. Like, let's go ahead and let it's. So some people look at it as you're resting your starters, and it's maybe some sort of a favoritism, like, oh, they're not going to play, so you don't really care. Which I say play to win, always. But I also know importance of, because football is not baseball or basketball. It's a lot more draining on your body game for game because of how much contact goes on. I definitely say, let your backups get some reps just in case for some reason, whether it's the championship game or it's just another playoff game, then somebody does take a, you know what, I can't play the rest of this game. They're not completely out of sync, or they don't know that they're questioning themselves playing that position this late in the season. I don't want my second string not to feel confident in playing their positions. So I need for everybody to be ready to go and showing that they're ready to go and that they can pull their weight.
Yeah, definitely a factual statement, what you just said right there. But I do want to switch over to something that really just came through my Twitter feed. Apparently, they posted it a little while ago. So, the finalists for the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, are out, and included in that is one DeMarcus Ware,
Okay.
Cowboy defensive end, and Darren Woodson. He once again is a finalist.
I would say, shouldn't Darren have already? Okay.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that sounds.
You have one of the most storied franchises of all time in the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah.
and he is the all-time leading tackler of that team.
Yeah.
And he's not in the Hall of Fame.
That's why
he's got 3 Super Bowl championships.
Yeah.
And he was a pivotal role in attaining those.
You know the fuckery of that? Is Jerry got in there before people that should have gotten
It's the good old boys system,
Yeah.
you know. You're white and rich, and they're
Yeah.
gonna pat you on the back. And
I will never
your butt.
I will never let go the fact that Jerry got in before Jimmy did, before before Dan Woodson got in. Like, yeah, I get it. You paid for them to play or whatever, but come on.
I mean, you know, he bought the trophies.
Yeah.
You know that's kind of what it is. Rich white people are gonna pat each other on the back and say you're just as important as the guys who actually played.
Yeah.
Come on. But I love to see Darren Woodson there. It's long overdue. I hope he actually makes it in.
Yeah.
Even if it means D Ware doesn't get in this time, would D Ware is going to get in, especially with his Super Bowl that he got in Denver. He has more media pulling for him around the country simply because of that. Unfortunately, that Dallas Cowboy bias where people hate on the Cowboys is what's kept a lot of these guys out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you blow up to superstar status, but at the same time, whenever your career ends, a lot of people hate on you because of it.
Yeah.
And Darren Woodson, with as nice as a fella as he is, still being Dallas Cowboys, people are going to downplay some of the stuff. And the latter part of his career, he was probably even more impactful than what he was whenever they won the Super Bowls. And he was a freaking starter with them. Well, at least with the last 2. But hell, he had teams of Dexter Coakley and Dat Wynn that were number 1 defense in the NFL.
Right.
You know, he made Roy Williams look like a competent, really good Pro Bowl safety. Yeah. But as soon as he went out, Roy Williams showed, hey, I don't have anybody backing me up back there. So when I blow this tackle because I don't wrap up, shit. You know?
Yeah.
Darren Woodson was a beast.
Yeah, like I said, I thought he was already in, so.
No. Unfortunately, he's not.
Well, congratulations to him, and fingers crossed that he makes it in there.
Yeah. So the playoffs start after this week or maybe in 2 weeks based on what the NFL decides to do with Cincy and Buffalo.
Yeah.
How are you liking Kansas City's chances of making it to the Super Bowl? I know they're your team and all.
You know, I'm still holding strong. I don't see anything that's like too pressing that's got me thinking like, you know,
I mean, the AFC's deep though, man. Look, Miami kind of fell off.
Yeah.
Obviously, their quarterback being concussed and all, and you know, some of those worries that we had about them. But you got Cincy, who's legit. You got Buffalo, who's legit. You got who else? There's one more team.
So, just addressing, was it Tennessee?
Jacksonville, if they make it,
Yeah,
because Jacksonville and Tennessee are playing for
yeah.
that. They're on a huge roll.
So, I'm just going with tried and true. The Cincy, they were the team that snuck in last year. They were the team at this time last year. I was saying, no one's worried about them, and this is a team I think you should be worried about. And they did exactly what I was saying, that they were like, everyone was worried about Buffalo, everyone was worried about Kansas City, everyone was worried about Tennessee, and Cincy did exactly what I thought they were going to do. And then at the beginning of the year, we were talking about the teams that were falling off from the Super Bowl. And I said that the Rams were done. They weren't going to make it very far, and they didn't. And Cincy was starting out rough. And have they gotten it together? Yeah, they've gotten. They're clicking. They're doing well. But you're talking really good offense compared to these other teams. Now,
the other teams have good offenses too.
They do. They really do. I just think, again, I don't know that there's
You're talking about an offense. Let me help you out. You're talking about Kansas City, who has an offense who, over the last 4 years, has put them into the conference championship.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times into the Super Bowl.
Two
Twice,
Super Bowls,
right?
yeah.
2 Super Bowls, 4 times conference championship, and right now poised to get the first round bye again.
Yeah.
So,
and don't forget last year the 13 seconds where they ended Buffalo.
yeah, 13 seconds to drive to score and win. I mean, they legitimately are no one to trifle with.
Yeah.
So, look, I like Kansas City. I think they're the smart bet. I know everyone wants Buffalo or Cincy because they're tired of seeing Kansas City. When I say everyone, the national media.
Right.
But me, if I'm having to bet on one team, I mean, to me, smart money still Kansas City.
The funny thing is, I feel like no one's paid attention to Kansas City. Everyone's been up Buffalo's
because
ass.
Everyone's looking for something else.
Yeah.
They're tired of that storyline.
Yeah.
Not me, because me and you like dynasties.
Yeah. Well, and then the thing about it is, for me, is there was so much of the 90s and 2000s where Kansas City wasn't the team anybody really talked about.
No, the only time they really were was when Joe Montana took them to the conference championship.
Yeah.
That one season, and then after that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah. So, because in the 90s, it was Cowboys, Green Bay, 49ers. That's who you were talking about in the 90s.
Yes. I mean, you had Buffalo.
Yeah.
You had Denver at the tail end.
Yeah.
But Buffalo, you're talking about them losing.
Yeah.
I mean, Houston, you had 1 year where they flirted with it.
And then in the 2000s, it was every other team in New England. So,
yeah.
With that being said, yeah, it just seems like it's Kansas City's time, and not only is it their time, they seem to have the coaching staff that's getting the job done.
All right, now I'm going to tell you this: if the Cowboys make it, they legitimately can beat Kansas City.
Yeah.
Now, can and will are 2 different things.
So, the funny thing is, my unspoken Super Bowl picks are Kansas City and the Cowboys.
No shit.
And it's one of the things I don't want to. I've been trying not to speak it out loud, mostly because Cowboys and their history that I don't want to say. Last year I was all in. I thought they were going to make it. This year, again, they're in a very similar situation. They're doing very well. They got the right pieces to go on and make it to the Super Bowl. Go on and win, possibly. But I'm also at this point looking at it as like, if they don't make it, it's going to be because of McCarthy making the wrong call. So with that being said, because everyone's asking me, like,
or a receiver dropping a pass.
Yeah, but I'm more.
No. Look, the coaching's the weak link.
Yeah,
I know some idiots tried to say
it's Dak, and some people will say it's Zeke, and I've heard it all. Like they will pick apart the Cowboys and say, well, what about the time that he got a ankle sprain or he got a fingernail ripped off and then he couldn't play the rest of the game? Like, whatever the case you want to try and play. Like, I've heard them all. I've even heard it for Kansas City, though. Like, I've heard, like, well, Kansas City doesn't have this person or that person, and I can sit here and argue, since Patrick Mahomes has been there, they've taken away different key parts that he relied on, and he hasn't missed a beat. Yeah. I will say that their defense has taken a dramatic fall from his first 2 years there to now.
Yeah,
but
it went from being great to, all right,
yeah,
we're here.
Yeah.
But that said, I mean,
but that being said, is why I wouldn't argue with you if it comes down to the Cowboys and
Cowboys are more complete than Kansas City.
Yeah, I feel like Dak could go toe to toe against Mahomes when it comes to throw for throw. The only difference is Mahomes is a little bit more accurate. The only difference is that the defense is a lot better than
statistically. Dak has a higher completion percentage.
Okay.
But realistically, the difference is that Mahomes is just Mahomes.
Yeah.
And possibly the best quarterback we've ever seen.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna have to wait and see for Cowboys to make that an official call. Is we're gonna have to wait and see them get to the second round.
I mean, we got to see who they're facing.
Yeah.
Like after this week, and we know where they're sitting. Because look, if they get to the second round, well, shit, man, all bets are off. If they have the first or second seed, all bets are off because now it runs through Dallas.
Yeah.
And if it runs through Dallas, all that talk where people are saying Dallas can't win 3 games in a row on the road. Well, first off, the first game would be against Tampa Bay.
Yeah. In
Tampa Bay. I don't know how many people are really worried about that. I know people will hype it up to be, oh, yeah, well, Brady's still going to do his.
But I feel like people are really stretching for this Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Because
they are.
I have not been impressed by Tampa Bay all season. Almost
minus the first week when they beat Dallas.
Yeah.
And even still, they only put up 20 points. Remember that? But, yeah.
Like, I have not been impressed by them. I haven't seen anything that's got me, you know what, they're a team. Like, there's nobody other than Brady for me to be worried about on that team personally.
No, I mean, Mike Evans has had a bad season. So has the rest of their receiving core. They've dropped a ton of passes.
Yeah.
And then Brady has underthrown and just
throwing
missed.
Tantrums and
like
the composure that you expect from Brady has not been there, honestly.
Brady's playing like a divorced father.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically.
Yeah. And then, like...
But he is. Well, exactly.
And then if you go on from there...
Divorced middle-aged man. That's what the hell he's been playing.
You go on from there. I'm not worried about the Giants. I'm not worried... Well, I will say the one to be concerned about, honestly, is Philly. But even still, it's fuck Philly. And there's a part of me that wants... There's a part of me that wants to see that Gardner continues to play. Because if that goes down, like, one, I don't think he could beat Kansas City. But if it goes on to the playoffs and he does make it all the way to the Super Bowl, do you guys understand how much joy I would get out of the fact that, like, you know what? This is the second time this team has gone to the Super Bowl in the last 10 years. And not only did they go with one quarterback doing all the work to get there, but it was their backup that had to play in the championship. Like, it'll be forever a curse for me at that point until it's broken. But, I mean, shit, I think even when Carson Wentz, I think it happened again. I think he got all the way to the playoffs the second time, and then he got hurt.
He did, that next season, yeah. And Nick Foles, and people were like, oh, shit, is it going to happen again?
Yeah. So, all that being said, man, the NFC, I really think the team that everyone is writing off, but also not writing off, is the Cowboys. They've been wrote off all season. Every time that they've had a small hiccup or even
Oh yeah, but it's so petty that you have some people writing them off with the idea, well, the Cowboys are just gonna cowboy and they're just cursed, and
yeah, there's that.
but there's no like legitimate.
And then there's the weak cases of like, well, they should have beat the Texans by a lot, and then like the Texans, as I said last week or a couple weeks ago, the Texans gave both Kansas City and the Cowboys a really tough time. And if they both end up in the Super Bowl, that's the huge statement to say. And the one team that everyone wrote off as the worst team in the league went on and gave these two teams that went on to be Super Bowl or contenders. Yeah, that's a big statement for the Texans and what they have potential for. And again, anybody in the NFC, I don't really see. I see the AFC being tougher. I legitimately do see it. Like I know. But I don't see anybody in the NFC that's like overwhelmingly, even as someone that's being honest about the Cowboys.
The 49ers got dog walked by San Francisco because of how explosive their offense is, right?
Yeah.
If Kansas City.
Yeah.
If Kansas City's offense can do what they did to San Francisco,
yeah,
Dallas and Philly can do the same.
Right.
Because their offenses are just as explosive, more so Dallas than Philly.
Yeah.
But both of those teams have damn good offenses.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a perfect team in the NFC. I know a lot of people were trying to talk Philly up like that, but I don't think that it exists this season.
I will say Philly.
I think Dallas is the most complete team.
I am with you. And I think me and you have said that off air. I will say, as far as for Philly, I will say Philly definitely did their best to go all in for this season. I think they did a lot of great transactions in the offseason, during the season, trying to ensure that they were going to make it far into the playoffs and so forth. But as far as for like the Cowboys, I mean, I criticize them. I've sat here and criticized about how they let Amari go. They've waited so long to get somebody like T.Y. There's been a lot of things that I've sat here and said, but if we're being honest about the situation, I really am thinking their only hiccup in as a team, the only thing that I think that they have to worry about is their coach. I don't think
it's their biggest weakness.
Yeah. I don't think that they have a solid. Their defense is their defense. You say they can't stop the run, they start stopping the run. You say they can't do the pass, they do the pass. So that we're seeing them do everything that they need to.
And I think they've got Hankins coming back. I think they're starting to get healthy. The Cowboys are.
Yeah, and then again, you want to talk about the offense. CD's. I think CD is officially where we were been critiquing him all season, where it was going to take him a season or two to get there. And I think by the end of the season, he's got where we thought
legit.
he could.
He's number one now. He is.
Yeah, he's not where he was preseason. He's not where he was early in the season. He's officially arrived as the number one, and I think he's
a legit 88 now.
Yeah. So all that being said, I mean, again, the only hiccup that I see is if the coaches are calling the right plays.
Can they make it? Yes. Will they make it? We'll see.
Yeah.
I think we got to wrap up now.
Definitely, we need to wrap up. I just wanted to. Last thing I'll say is about the Cowboys was the reason why the coaching is so important on this is mostly because Dak does not deviate from what his coaches are calling.
I will say this though. His aggressiveness, which a lot of people are criticizing because it led to interceptions, is something that last year we were clamoring for.
Yeah, I mean,
Dak, not aggressive to the point where you're not running the ball anymore.
Yeah,
but aggressive to the point where you have to put the ball. I don't care if it's in position to get picked, but you have to lay it out for your receivers to be able to make something to happen. Well, this year I've heard the criticism of, but he puts it out there and it's the receivers that make everything happen. It's not him. Well, no shit. That's what should happen. But people aren't necessarily seeing it that way. But that's what he's doing, which has led to some more picks. But at the same time, since he's returned from injury,
Can't have one without the
nearly
other, man.
36 points a game.
Yeah.
You're telling me that he's giving up a pick a game, but getting 36 points a game?
Yeah.
You'll take that all day.
Exactly.
Because your defense shouldn't be giving up 29 points.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I know we ran a little bit long on that one, so if you guys are worried about it, you can pause it and listen to it. Otherwise, you sat here and listened to it all, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. But with that being said, if you want to follow us, you can follow Coach Rudy at
Rudy V 1982 on Twitter.
and you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and I don't know, wherever else at SleepyJ, SLEEP_E_J. And until next time, guys, take it easy.
Peace.